I think it's okay to lose faith. I think it's a good sign if you lose faith, because it means you care. Like, it means you care.
Yeah.
There are people that just make work like robots. Yeah, and a robot doesn't lose faith, like a human being loses faith. Yeah, this is always the ongoing question. I mean, here we are, sitting here, I'm in China, you're asking me questions, and it's hard not to feel like I'm like someone important or something.
Superstar.
Something, or that I know what I'm doing. And and knowing what you're doing can be a problem. And so I have to unlearn what I'm doing. And I have to forget about being interviewed and talking, and I just have to go out and I have to play. Yeah, there's so many failures. I mean, where do I start? I mean, let's see. Let me try to think of a good example of failure. In the beginning of the Trump phenomenon, and America is going through this very turbulent change. And I'm normally not someone who makes work with politics as a foundation, but there were deep changes happening, and I felt like I needed to make work somehow in response to this. And I came up with this whole idea that actually had to do with Abraham Lincoln and American history and the history of division within the United States. And I started making work, and it wasn't working. It was failing because I was trying to illustrate an idea that I had. And eventually I abandoned that project. I got rid of that project and I started something new. But all of that thinking that I'd done found its way into this new project. It just wasn't forced. So Abraham Lincoln came into the project. I mean, it's interesting right now because, I'm here in China, I'm exhibiting this work that's now like, it was been published a little while ago. It's over. And so I'm in the process of making new work. But I'm in that, I don't know if it's a full project. When it becomes a full project, I have to experiment at the beginning, just try different things. The whole time I'm like dreaming up some big idea, and then I try things, and I have little failures along the way. And then at a certain point, if enough things click together, then I can commit to it in a full-term way. I don't necessarily recommend this for other people, but the way I think of my projects usually is as a book first. And I do think about it in terms of sort of scale, length, number of pictures. So to make another analogy, if you're a filmmaker and you're going to make a movie and someone's going to give you $1 million to make a movie, you're going to know if that movie is going to be, an hour and a half long or 5 hours long or 30 minutes. And so it's kind of crazy to just like make work without any sense of the scope of it. And so I usually have a number in mind. I'll think like, oh, this project is a 50 picture project or this picture, this is an 80 picture project, that kind of thing. And that helps me define the scope. And it doesn't have to be exactly that way, but then I kind of know where I'm at in the process. And generally, I know it's a real project if I'm like 15 to 20 pictures into it that are working together, then I can believe in it. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, is that when I have that scope and I get deeper into the project and then I start seeing holes in it, things that are missing, when I first start a project, everything's interesting to me. I go out in the world like, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. And then later, I've done all the things that I need to do, and then I'm looking for specific things that I'm missing. And it's really like putting together a puzzle, and you have missing pieces. The problem is that it's not a puzzle, and it's never complete perfectly.
Exactly.
So then it's just a feeling. And usually I get tired of a project, but I know I have to keep going. So I have to get almost sick of the project in a way, or like a little bit beyond it. But I also like having deadlines. Even if they're not real deadlines, they're deadlines for myself, because photography, you can go on forever with a project.
Of course.
I don't know. I mean, I think one has to accept that things die. That everything has a season, and maybe it will be over. So one of my favorite musicians, Justin Vernon of the band Bon Iver, recently said his last album might be his last album. And everyone was like, oh, man. But I understand this musician because I know his work, and my sense is that it won't be his last, but he needs to have his a long winter where everything dies, and then spring will come at some point. But allowing things to die, and not just keep making work because you have to make work, because you're supposed to make work. I think losing faith, it's it's a death process, and maybe you need to start a new medium, or maybe one needs to make a film or do something else. And I've done all sorts of things like that. So I've done performance and worked with musicians and all this kind of stuff. And it's not like my real work, but I've needed to do it to revive myself. Yeah, it wasn't that wasn't a decision to do it for 1 year. I thought I might be done with photography then, but I wasn't losing faith. I was actually I fell in love with a new way of seeing the world, and photography didn't necessarily have to be part of that way of seeing the world. It was an amazing time. It was really one of the happiest times of my life. It was, fantastic. I mean, photography for me is, I don't do it to become happy. I do it to express myself and to engage with the world